Hi. Welcome back to the Goonies podcast. Today we'll be interviewing the world's greatest author, James McBride.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi. Hello.
Hi, James McBride.
Thank you guys for having me. I've been looking forward to it.
It's a pleasure to have you here. Well, we'll get right down to business.
How many siblings did you have growing up, James?
It was often chaotic. I had a total of 12 different siblings, 6 brothers and 6 sisters.
Do you think that your rough childhood still has an impact on you to this day?
Absolutely. Many different events throughout my childhood have shaped the way I am as a man today. My dad did have an early death, but, quote, the man died without a penny, yet his children grew up to graduate from college to become doctors, professors, teachers, and professionals. After my father died early, our family was heartbroken, and it was a rough time, but he never failed to motivate us.
By saying that quote, you demonstrate that your father died very early, but he inspired his kids to become the most successful versions of themselves that they could.
That's right. My dad was a role model, and he motivated us to never take life for granted. My mother also showed us, as kids, that even though we did not have very much money, she never gave up and made sure that we all were fed.
James, your mom was a brilliant woman, and that was really shown when you asked her what God's skin color was. How did she respond?
Ah, yes, this takes me back. She responded by saying, in quotes, God is the color of water. Water doesn't have a color.
Wow, what a deep quote. It shows that your mother truly understands how to look beyond the color of anyone's skin. And she was never afraid to reassure you that you belonged just how you were.
That is correct. Growing up, I had problems with fitting in everywhere, like the time at school I was made fun of by my whole class.
Wow, those kids were really mean.
Yeah, they sure were.
Yeah, no kidding.
All right, moving on. James, what was the scariest moment? What was one of the scariest moments of your childhood?
Looking back, a time that I was petrified was when I was a boy. When a boy got on the bus and told us his father was a Black Panther. His father was standing right next to my mother, and I feared for her, so I punched the kid, and tried to warn my mom. I said, "Mommy, watch out!" But it did not do anything because she could not hear me over the sound of the bus rolling away.
I'm sure that was very traumatic, but you learned that day when your mother was untouched that you do not need to worry about the Black Panthers, right?
Yes, that is right. It cut down my fear of the Black Panthers, and it made me have a little more faith in them as a whole organization.
Fascinating. Next up, what was another big turning point in your lifetime?
Another turning point was when was the day that my stepdad died.
Once your stepdad died, everything began to change for you, right?
Yeah, that's right. My grades began to slip. I wouldn't go to school, and I started hanging out with the wrong group. We would rob people, do drugs, and overall just do terrible things.
Could you explain to us how you were able to get out of these bad habits?
Definitely. One way was by lifting weights. Another way is that my mother had noticed that I had not been around the house as much because I was always out in the streets. I also was getting home late, but when she found out about my bad grades, she knew something had to be done.
What did she do?
She had me go live with my older sister Jack and her husband Big Richard in Louisville. My mother thought this would help straighten me out, and like always, she was right.
Smart woman. What was the reason behind you getting out of your troubled teen years?
It was all because of a man who wanted a better future for me. He wasn't family, and he wasn't a great friend.
This man, tell me more about him.
He went by Chicken Man. I made a mistake while in Kentucky with my sister, and he was there to confront me because he wanted better for me. He saw my potential and made a negative example of himself in order to make a better example of my life.
Sounds like this chicken man had a positive impact on your life.
He did. I finally realized it was a ragged lifestyle when I told my sister, you have to choose between what the world expects of you and what you want for yourself. Put yourself in God's hands and you can't go wrong.
Wow. This quote really shows how you wanted a positive change in your life because of Chicken Man.
I did. I finally started to change my junior year of high school, where I planned to rebuild myself, told myself I need to stop using drugs, and I need to stop stealing from other people. Along with the help of turning myself to God, I was finally able to change. This change didn't happen overnight. It was gradual, but what really put me over the edge to stop was when I noticed my mom was falling apart.
Wow, and what a change you had for yourself, becoming a best-selling author and beating the odds. I bet your mother is proud of you and your 11 other siblings who went on to do great things at high-level colleges.
She is. She raised us all perfectly, and we are all extraordinary people. She raised us old and has always been there for us through marriage, adoptions, love-ins, live-ins, and shack-ups. She made a nation of her own. This is shown when I said, Mommy has created her own nation, a rainbow condition that descends on her house every Christmas and Thanksgiving.
Wow. This really shows the loving relationship that you guys have with your kids and with each other. You really do have an astonishing mother.
Yeah, I really do.
The end.
Thanks for watching the Goonies podcast. Tune in for episode 2. Goodbye.